Grayscale sent 22,000 Bitcoin, more or less, in the last 30 days, selling the Bitcoin at an average price of about 43.5. Okay, and that's not in this tweet, but if you study, their selling habits, you could see the average price for Grayscale to sell their Bitcoin is about $44,000. That's really good. Okay, that's basically selling the top of the top. 44,000 is right here. So they're selling the top of the distribution channel. They're really screwing you. They're dumping on you because they're selling the top of the top. And they're selling not just one Bitcoin, not just a half of it, 22,000 Bitcoin at the top of the top. Hello everyone, my name's Dean, and let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is January 17th, 2024, and the whales are dumping on you. Yes, as we've been saying on this channel, we are preparing ourselves for a large move down, not just in Bitcoin, but in the rest of the cryptocurrency space. We're going to look at another reason as to why this is. Guys, if that sounds interesting to you, then watch until the very end. Hope everyone's having a great day. Let's get started. On the Bitcoin chart, on the 4-hourly time frame, you can see we have our 40-day channel right here in red, okay? And this is a distributive channel. I've been talking about this for quite some time. Like I said in the beginning, this is exactly what you would expect to see before a significant breakdown. Again, I do not want to overreact and say, oh, this is exactly what we saw when we went from 70K all the way down to 18K or whatever. No, that's not it. We're not going into a multi-year bear market, but this is a proper drawdown, and it's essentially a golden pocket retest, okay? And our target is still 32,500 thereabouts. So a significant drawdown, but it's not, again, a multi-year bear market that we should expect from Bitcoin and the rest of the cryptocurrency markets. However, it is a healthy retracement, and these moves right here are the precursors of a healthy retracement. This is what we call a distributive channel. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Wyckoff analysis, I will introduce you to this right here, which is a pretty common, run-of-the-mill schematic of a Wyckoff distributive channel, okay? They're not all going to look like this, but this is generally speaking what you should see before the drawdown. Again, big moves up or down are always preceded by either an accumulation or a distribution. The accumulation precedes a big move up, distribution precedes big move down, right? You always have to prepare. This is kind of why crypto's been sleepy. Not much has been going on for Bitcoin or for a lot of other altcoins. It's just kind of going side to side, okay? And so, but you don't want to fall asleep during these low volatility side to side price action events. This is when you want to prepare. So it would be wise, not financial advice, to divest yourselves of shares, to sell off a bit, because that's what the whales are doing. All right, what do you mean the whales are selling, Dean? Well, one of the biggest whales in the world of Bitcoin is the Grayscale Trust, okay? And here you can see on X, you have Kim Yong-ju talking about Grayscale sending 22,000 Bitcoin to multiple addresses, including Coinbase and whatever other exchanges in the last 30 days. Now, 22,000 Bitcoin is significant. Remember, Bitcoin is about a little more than $1 trillion market cap at this point, right? 22,000 Bitcoin is about $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. Okay, that's significant. That's significant. So that is, I always say on this channel, like, this is a big market cap, right? This is a large asset class. Michael Saylor, with as much Bitcoin as he has, him buying a few $1,000,000 isn't gonna really move the needle much. That's not it. 22,000 Bitcoin, $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. Okay, now we're talking. You're talking a significant percentage of the entire market cap has been moved to exchange. And, for those of you who may not know, when whales typically move assets to exchange, they're moving them to be sold. Okay, obviously they're selling over the counter, but there's so much of it, they have to sell it in bits and pieces. Okay, and that's another reason why it's important to understand what's happening in the Wyckoff distribution schematic. Why isn't it that, when I first started learning Wyckoff analysis, I was like, why go through all this trouble just to sell? If you want to sell, just press a button. No, that doesn't work when you have so much of the asset, right? When you have, 1 Bitcoin or half a Bitcoin, sure, go ahead and press that sell button and it's all done. But when you have tons of Bitcoin, hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin, right? Like Grayscale does, right? They have about what? They have what? 750,000 Bitcoin thereabouts, maybe 700,000 Bitcoin on the books at least, right? According to this graph. So when you have that much Bitcoin, you have to sell it in bits and pieces. You can't just sell it on one exchange, because that one exchange doesn't have enough capacity, doesn't have the capacity to receive all your Bitcoin. So you have to sell it a little bit here, sell a little bit there, sell a little bit here, sell a little bit there. This is why you get these graphs. This is why you get these patterns in the charts. And this is why it's very important to recognize them. As you can see, one of the things that really jumps out from the Wyckoff the Wyckoff distribution schematic is that UTAD, okay? And the UTAD, for those of you, again, who don't know anything about Wyckoff, I welcome you to go on the school.stockcharts.com. They have really great explanations about, the different distribution events, accumulation events in Wyckoff theory. Really good primer. But the UTAD is essentially the upthrusts after distribution. Okay, so you can see here, the UTAD, it says, upthrust after distribution. A UTAD is the distributional counterpart to the spring and terminal shakeout in the accumulation TR, okay, in the accumulation schematic. And for those of you, again, who don't know Wyckoff, basically, if you take the accumulation schematic, you flip it on its head, you get the distribution schematic. You flip that on its head, you get the accumulation schematic. They're one and the same. They're just mirror images of one another. So I always talk about on this channel the spring, basically the last test of the observable support in the accumulation schematic. That's exactly what's happening here in the distribution schematic. So the way I like to explain it is, there's people selling and they want to sell, and so they sell here and they sell here, and they're like, how high can we sell? Can we sell here? How about here? They're testing the highest point at which they still have buyers, and they're like, oh, there's still people buying in this region. Awesome. Okay, and basically people who don't know much about, trading are buying the top right here, and the top of the top, the Pico top. So this whole schematic is the top. This is the top of the top. This is when you really don't know what you're doing right here. And basically they're trying to see, and this, what does this correlate with or correspond to? That corresponds to the ETF day. And remember what we said. That was a buy the rumor, sell the news event. Okay? And that's exactly when they got a number of people to buy Bitcoin at 48,000 with the impression that it was going to go higher. But basically, they got that much more for their Bitcoin, right? Over here. And remember, look at this. This is really interesting. So this entire distribution channel has lasted about 42 days, right? And this is kind of goes back to people who say, these institutional traders are the real deal. They're the best traders. Sometimes I'm like, nah, they don't know what they're doing, because there's a lot of them that go out of business. There's a lot of them that make a lot of stupid decisions. But in some cases, that's true. Because if you look at this tweet by Ki Jong-yu, Grayscale sent 22,000 Bitcoin, more or less, in the last 30 days, selling the Bitcoin at an average price of about 43.5. Okay, and that's not in this tweet, but if you study, their selling habits, you could see the average price for Grayscale to sell their Bitcoin is about $44,000. That's really good. Okay, that's basically selling the top of the top. 44,000 is right here. So they're selling the top of the distribution channel. They're really screwing you. They're dumping on you because they're selling the top of the top. And they're selling not just one Bitcoin, not just a half a bit, 22,000 Bitcoin at the top of the top. Again, if you're not selling your Bitcoin, it doesn't mean you're not doing it right. Or it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It just, different people have different, trading strategies. And it's not like, even though Grayscale selling 22,000 Bitcoin and maybe they're going to sell a little more, their total allocation or their total kind of investment is almost 700,000 Bitcoin. It's not like they're selling all of that Bitcoin. They're just selling a little bit, right? So this is actually another good way to see how big accounts trade. They're not trading 100% of their portfolio. They're taking a small percentage of their portfolio and using that to trade, right? Looking at, more likely than not, the charts and finding local market tops like the one we're at right now, and deciding, hey, you know what? Very likely that this move from 44,000 to 32,000 happens. So let's take a small percentage of our portfolio and sell that, make a profit, and then reinvest. That's how big accounts trade. They're not taking all 700,000 Bitcoin and selling it on the market. Obviously, they would actually ruin the market because they're so large. But that, we can use the same kind of thinking, the same kind of means of managing our portfolios by trading a little bit and then keeping the rest on spot in cold storage or whatever, and just riding the ups and downs. And that's good risk management. So when I say they're dumping on you, they're literally dumping on you, and it's in front of you right here if you want to see it. If you have eyes to read, Grayscale's dumping on you, other whale accounts are dumping on you. And if you're under the impression, for some reason, I don't know that many people are at this point, I think it's quite clear what's likely happening, but if you're under the impression that Bitcoin's just going to skyrocket from this channel out to, make all-time highs, I have some beachfront resort property in Detroit to sell you, right? Like, it's unlikely happening. This is not, there's nothing 100% sure. This is technical analysis. It's all probabilistic, but it's unlikely to happen. Now, on the smaller time frames, what we're likely seeing is a final move to the midline of this channel, this 40-day channel, to retest that midline. Because remember, three aspects of a channel that are ever so important: the bottom support, the top resistance, and the midline, which is resistance when you're below it, support when you're above it. And before leaving the channel, you have to test all three aspects. The top has been tested multiple times, actually 3 or 4 times. The bottom has been tested multiple times, 3, 4 times. Now the midline is now going to be retested one last time before breaking the channel. That's what I think is going to happen in the short term for Bitcoin. Okay, now this distributive sequence, this distributive pattern isn't it isn't unique to Bitcoin. It's just something you see in all assets. And I think just looking at different charts, another really nice, really clear example of a beautiful distribution is what you can see in Chainlink. Okay, Chainlink has been in this. So Bitcoin's been in for 40 days or some. Yeah, it's been in a channel for 40 plus days. Chainlink has been in this channel for more than 50 days. Look. Okay, you have 70 days of being here. And I mean, it's very clear at this point, if you're in Chainlink, if you're interested in Chainlink, that one, you're making a rounded top. Remember, rounded sequences on a high time frames typically denote extremities, tops and bottoms. So that's a rounded top that looks like on the daily time frame, right? 70 days worth of channeling. It's unlikely to break out. It's tried multiple times and each time produced a failure to the downside. Here's a strong doji candle to the downside. Okay, the second thing you would notice is that you're creating that these quintessential distributive markers, okay, where you're creating spikes, right? And those spikes are tests of the top of the channel. Again, let's have a quick look at the distribution schematic, and you can see that you have your tests of the top, your tests after the distribution right here. So here you have 1, 2, 3, 4 in this distribution schematic, and here also you have 1, 2, 3, 4, very likely to come down. It just looks like that's exactly what it wants to do. And again, the target for this is quite clearly the top of this 500 plus day accumulation that we've had in Chainlink. So that, what I would believe to be, is one of the easiest trades in the market. Shorting Chainlink from this top all the way down to this, that is a nice move, and that is a 50% move thereabouts, right? And I know what you're thinking, like, Dean, I'm not in this to short anything. I don't believe in shorting crypto. Fine. But if you're a trader and you just want to take advantage of big moves, that's a relatively big move, and it's relatively, low risk, given that you've put almost 70 days worth of distribution, and now the big move is what you want to take advantage of. Big moves up or down are big moves that you could take advantage of as a trader. So that's what I'm seeing in the charts. Last thing I'll say is the idea that we're going to retest the top, or the midline in Bitcoin, right? The midline of the 40-day channel is being supported by what we're seeing in the US dollar currency index. So the US dollar currency index is our market mover. The dollar is what moves the market. And what I'm seeing in the dollar is this. So for the past few days, we've put in, let's see, for the past few days, we've put in this impulse to the top, right? And now what I'm seeing is a correction of this impulse, more likely than not, towards the golden pocket. So what we're going to see in the immediate short term in the US dollar currency index, which I believe has already started its correction of this impulse right here. And I think the correction started right here. Right here you have 2 bottoms, right? So basically the price went up, went up, came right back right here. So that is my initial breakup structure. I think it's quite clear. And then this is a B wave, and now whatever you're doing, it's likely you're going to come here. This is a mini distribution channel, and I think your target is about 102, 103. And that move in the coming hours in the US dollar currency index is going to move Bitcoin up to that midline. So that move to the midline, which is about, let's see, that midline move is around 44K, 44.2, 44.3, thereabouts, right? Right around where Bitcoin, or sorry, right around the average buy price of the GBTC. That makes sense, right? They bought the top or the middle of the channel. I think you tag that one more time before moving down. And so that's why I'm seeing what I'm seeing. Guys, be careful out there. We haven't gotten much of any, drastic movement in the markets, but all of this distribution, all of this kind of side-to-side price action means you should be ready. You should brace yourselves for something big, because every single time you get something big, it's preceded by low volatility sideways price action. So either you're going to get either more sideways price action or a big move up or a big move down. So that's what you want to be careful of. All right, guys, that's it for me. Like, share, and subscribe if you got value, or buy me a coffee. The buy me a coffee link is still active. You can also elect to sign up for a membership and receive an altcoin analysis per month, and it's just $10 a month. You can cancel anytime. Just go on the link that I'm going to post in the pinned comment below. And I hope you have a great day and happy and profitable trading. Take care. Bye.